At some point today, something is going to make you cry. Maybe it already happened. A song, a message, something small that broke something bigger. And when it hit, you didn't decide to cry. Your eyes just went. That fast. That involuntary. Now here is what nobody ever tells you about that moment. Of the 8.7 million species on this planet, only one of them does what you just did. Not dolphins, not elephants, not chimpanzees, who share 98.7% of your DNA. Not the dog sitting next to you who clearly, obviously feels things. Not one of them produces tears in response to emotion. Only you. That is not a small detail. That is one of the strangest facts in all of biology. And the real explanation, what tears actually are, what they actually do, and why your body evolved them in the first place, is nothing like what you think. Let's start with what's actually coming out of your eye. Because most people assume a tear is just a tear. It isn't. Scientists classify human tears into 3 completely different types. The first is basal tears. These are the ones you never notice. They coat your cornea every second of every day, keeping your eyes lubricated. Every animal with eyes produces something like these. The second type is reflex tears. Someone cuts an onion nearby, your eyes flood. Dust gets in. Same result. This is your eye's emergency flush system. Many animals have a version of this too. And then there is the third type, emotional tears. The ones that come from grief, from rage, from relief, from the bridge of a song you weren't expecting. These are chemically different from the other two. Not slightly different. Fundamentally different. And this is where it gets genuinely hard to look away from. In the 1980s, biochemist William Frey at the University of Minnesota spent years collecting and analyzing emotional tears from human subjects. What he found stopped him cold. Emotional tears contain measurably elevated levels of stress hormones, specifically ACTH, the hormone your body releases during psychological distress, and leucine and enkephalin, a natural painkiller your brain produces under pressure. They also contain prolactin, the same hormone associated with nursing, bonding, and the meditative state between sleep and waking. Your emotional tears are not overflow. They are not a malfunction. They are the body physically removing the biochemical residue of emotional pain, the way your kidneys remove waste. People who cry during sadness consistently report feeling better afterward. This was always dismissed as psychological. Frey's data suggests it's physiological. You cry because your body is cleaning itself. But that still doesn't answer the real question. Why does any of this have to happen externally? Why does it have to show? This is where it gets strange. In 2009, Israeli evolutionary biologist Oren Hassan published a paper in the journal Evolutionary Psychology that proposed something most people find uncomfortable to accept. He argued that tears did not evolve to make you feel better. They evolved to be seen. The primary function of emotional tears, in his model, is not internal at all. It is social. It is communication. Think about what a tear actually does to your face. It blurs your vision. It signals, visibly and involuntarily, that you are in distress. And crucially, it signals it in a way that is almost impossible to fake. You can lie with words. You can perform sadness with your expression, but genuinely flooding eyes, running nose, the specific physiological cascade of a real cry. This is one of the hardest things for the human body to manufacture on command. Hassan's argument was this: tears evolved as an honest signal. In a species as socially complex as ours, where deception is constant and alliances are everything, the ability to broadcast genuine vulnerability without the possibility of forgery was enormously valuable. A tear says, "I am not performing. This is real." And it triggers in the person watching a response that is specific and powerful and not voluntary. Humans who witness another person crying experience immediate activation of the caregiving instinct. Brain imaging studies confirmed this. Seeing tears on a face produces activation in the regions associated with empathy and the urge to help. It is one of the strongest social triggers the human brain has. Tears didn't just evolve to release stress. They evolved to pull other humans toward you at the exact moment you needed them most. But here's where most people miss the point, and where this gets genuinely interesting. This only works in a species with sophisticated enough social bonds to make the signal worth sending. A fish cannot respond to another fish's distress. An insect cannot. Even most mammals lack the neurological infrastructure to process a conspecific's tears and translate them into a caregiving impulse. Only a species that lives in tight, interdependent social groups, where your survival literally depends on the loyalty difficulty of others creates the evolutionary pressure to develop a signal like this. We are that species, and we are the only one. But there is a paradox buried inside all of this, and it is the part nobody covering this subject ever explains properly. If tears evolved to signal distress and summon help, why do you cry at movies? Why do you cry at music? There is no one to help you. The characters are not real. The grief is not yours. And yet the tears come anyway, sometimes harder than they do for your own life. In 2016, psychologist Ad Vingerholtz at Tilburg University, the world's leading researcher on human crying, proposed an answer to this that is difficult to argue with. He called it the safe context theory. His argument, crying is not just a distress signal. It is also a mechanism for processing emotion safely. When you cry at a film, you are experiencing real grief, real loss, real longing, but in a context where nothing is at stake. No one is actually dying. Nothing is required of you, and in that safety, your body uses the moment to process whatever is sitting beneath the surface. The film doesn't make you sad. It gives your sadness permission to exist. This is why people who never cry in their real lives find themselves blindsided by tears at completely unexpected moments. A television advertisement, a stranger's kindness, a dog in a film. It comes out somewhere, because the chemistry doesn't disappear just because you don't let it out. It accumulates, and eventually the body finds a gap and takes it. Now consider what this means for the animal question. Other animals feel things. This is not seriously disputed by anyone who studies animal behavior. Elephants show behavioral signs of grief at the death of herd members. Chimpanzees display what looks, by any reasonable measure, like depression. Dolphins have been observed behaving in ways that suggest mourning. These animals feel, but they do not cry. And the reason, almost certainly, is not that their emotions are shallower. The reason is that their social architecture is different. They don't need the signal the way we do. They don't live in the kind of negotiated, layered, trust-dependent social world where broadcasting unforged vulnerability is worth the evolutionary cost of a lacrimal system that produces hormonally active fluid in response to a feeling. We do. We built civilizations. We wrote contracts and laws because we needed to. We created art and religion and philosophy because we are the only animal that knows it will die and cannot stop thinking about it. We are the most socially dependent species that has ever existed on this planet. We cannot survive without each other, and tears are the body's most ancient and honest proof of that. They are the signal your nervous system evolved to send when the social bond is strained, when it's broken, when it's desperately needed. But here's the part that almost no one reporting on this tells you, because it changes everything about what you just learned. The research on human crying finds that people who allow themselves to cry regularly report lower levels of chronic stress, better immune function, stronger feelings of social connection than people who suppress it. A 2008 study by Jonathan Rottenberg at the University of South Florida found that crying, in the right social context, reliably improves mood within 90 minutes. Even in people who reported feeling worse immediately after, the body knows what it is doing. It always did. There is one more thing, and it's the thing that makes all of this land differently. Think about what crying actually requires. It requires that something mattered. You cannot cry over nothing. Your nervous system will not spend that chemistry on something it doesn't register as real and significant. Every tear is involuntary proof that something reached you, that something got through. We spend enormous energy trying to appear unaffected, composed, in control, unbothered, and then something breaks through anyway, and the eyes go, and we treat it like a failure, like weakness, like something to apologize for. But that is exactly backwards. You are the only creature on this planet that does this. Not because you are the weakest, but because you are the most connected, the most dependent on trust, the most in need of being seen. For hundreds of thousands of years, every human who ever lived cried in front of other humans, around fires, in the dark, in the middle of the night, when the hunt failed, when someone didn't come back, when the child was born and was breathing. Nobody told them to stop. Nobody handed them a reason to be ashamed. That came later. The tear is not the signal that something is broken. It is the signal that something mattered enough to break you. And that is not a flaw in the design. That is the whole point of it. You are the only species on Earth that does this, and you have been told your whole life to do it alone, in private, quietly, and as rarely as possible. Your ancestors would not have understood that, not even a little.